Hey guys, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, and we're back home after some initial cut test of a brand new knife from LT Wright, Handcrafted Knives. And this particular knife is in a brand new steel, and this is a Genesis in PSB 27. So PSB 27 is a new steel on the market. It was a collaboration, Smoky Mountain Knife Works and LT. They decided to try to make a few different models of this knife for Smoky Mountain Knife Works. I was there during their vendor weekend and was able to pick this knife up. So I was not very familiar with it, but it's a type or like D2, but it's supposed to have 3 times the durability of D2. So typical uses in manufacturing is in the manufacturing field, and it's for dies, punches, shears, blades, knives, that type of thing. You can look up the specific information on it from SB Specialty Metals. Now, this particular steel, and even though they compare it to D2, it's not made like your typical D2. This is it's a spray forming D2, and it does not require HIP. So it's harder than A2 and it's harder than D2, and they're heat treating it somewhere between 57 and 59. It's supposed to have 30 to 40% increase in performance over D2. It's supposed to have a better edge retention, wear resistance, and corrosion resistance. So that's what interests me about this particular knife, because I like D2 and I would love to have a Scandinavian Genesis made out of D2, but it really is more popular with the hunting style knives or kitchen knives or everyday carry knives than it is in a Scandi, because D2 has a tendency to maybe have some micro fractioning. Those small fractures could occur, but I've never had an issue with it, but I've also never had one in Scandinavian. Now, in that cut test that I just completed, I did full-length blade cuts in cardboard, and I used 2 different boxes, and I used the same amount of cardboard per box on 2 different knives, and that was a Genesis in A2 and then the Genesis in PSB 27. The A2 that did 125 cuts before it got to the point it wouldn't efficiently cut paper, and the PSB 27 did 207 cuts before it got to what I felt was about the same condition. So that was 82 more cuts in the cardboard. So this is the knife, and it still feels like it has a good edge on it. Of course, there's no damage because it was just cutting cardboard. I don't feel anything. It's just as smooth as it can be, but it will not cut paper like it did before. So the challenge now is, let's see what it takes to get this knife back in shape compared to my A2. I'm going to start out very fine. I'm going to start out with a strop. Gray compound is what I'll use on it, and we'll see. I'll time how long it takes me to get the A2 back in shape, and we'll see how that amount of time put to the PSB 27, what that feels like, and we'll test it with paper. If that doesn't work, I can try a ceramic rod, I can try some butcher steel, and worst case scenario, we'll put it on a diamond stone. We'll pop her back into shape that way. but we'll find out exactly how hard this steel is and what it takes to get it back in shape. When I'm done with that, I'll let you know. So it's been about 5 minutes, and this is with my old Genesis. And this is the reason I love this steel. 5 minutes on just my homemade strop, which is nothing more than a ruler with a piece of leather, rough side out, and I use some gray compound on it, and it feels like we're getting pretty close to being back where she was before we started. So, not bad. All right, so let's see how long it takes the other one. All right, well, it's been 5 minutes. That's the same amount of time that I worked on the A2. Let's see where we're at. It is definitely better. It's popping back faster than I thought it would. But it's still not cutting the way the A2 did. Let me work on it a little bit more and see if it will strop back. Okay, so it's been an additional 5 minutes. So that's double the amount of time that I spent on the A2. Spent 5 minutes on the A2. Let's see where we're at. I am not real happy with that. Okay, it's coming. But we ain't there. And some of that's just hold it light. Feels like it's grabbing, but it's not. It's smooth, but that Scandi is just not quite. All right, I'm gonna try it for another 5 minutes. That'll be 3 times as long to do this one. We'll see how it goes. All right, so it's definitely a harder steel, and that is getting to be a pretty good mirror finish on it. Still not like absolutely thrilled about how sharp it is. I mean, I did the paper test. Will it shave? Yeah, it'll shave. But I don't know exactly how razor sharp of an edge we want on this steel as we go out and we start working wood with it. Like I said, D2 has a tendency to get some micro fractures. This is supposed to be tougher, but we're not going to hold back on it any at all. But we're also only going to do what I would normally do when I'm teaching bushcraft and survival. Some light batoning, some softer woods, doing some feather sticks, doing a tri-stick, cutting our bacon, all of that typical stuff. This drop, you can definitely see, I cleaned it before I did those 2 knives. You can see it removed a lot of metal. So stropping it is an option. If I get it that dull and I had to do it again, I think I might start out with something a little bit more aggressive, maybe some ceramic first, and then trying to strop it out a little bit more. But thanks for joining me on this one today as we take a look at the brand new Genesis PSB 27 in a Scandinavian grind. I think this is going to be an interesting test. I appreciate you joining me. I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, home of global safety and survival. Till next time, God bless.